Welcome. My name is Krystle, and you actually press play to my podcast. And I get to introduce you to my amazing friends. We get to share funny stories of how we met, and we get a little deep. So, no further introduction. This is Krystle Breaks Easy.
You're listening to Krystle Breaks Easy. I am your host, Krystle. I have somebody with me that I've known for over 20 years.
Yes.
Over 20 years. He doesn't remember how we met, so I'm going to tell you guys how we met. He is an author.
Yes.
A father. He used to play basketball.
Yes.
The one and only Mr. Kern Carter.
Thank you.
Welcome, Kern, to Krystle Breaks Easy. Are you excited?
Very excited.
Are you scared?
I'm nervous about how we met, but I'm excited though.
Okay. So you have no idea how we met. So
Zero
how do
idea.
you think we met? Or what do you remember?
I remember that you used to live on somewhere around here, like
Yeah, Don
close to
Jose.
Fairview.
Yeah, right across the street from Fairview.
That's all I remember.
Wow, Kern.
That's it. It was 20 years ago.
That's true. It was 20 years ago. So I will tell everybody how I met Mr. Carter.
Oh boy.
It was at a tournament. It was, I don't know if it was Phase 1 or Grassroots. Was it Grassroots back then that had the All-Star team
It was
at
Phase
Centennial?
one. It was
Phase
Phase
1.
one, yeah.
So Phase 1 had their All-Star game at Centennial. You just finished playing, and you're coming out the tunnel to the parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
But you had like no jersey on. I was like, "Hey, Mr. Carter." And I was just like, my friend's like, "Yo, who is that guy?" I'm like, "Oh, it's Kern." I'm like, "Kern, hey, come here." And all I hear is, "Oh, if you want him, he's right here." I look back, I see some girl with some huge belly. I'm like, "Tell her we're friends. We go to the same school together. What's wrong with her?" Like, I didn't care. Like, I was reckless back then. And then I was like, "Don't worry, I'll get your number." I did. So my homegirl, because Trina knew GH.
Yeah.
So Trina knew GH, and then Browse.
Yeah.
You know Browse?
No.
Jeffrey.
Oh, okay. Yes.
So you can blame Jeffrey.
Yeah.
Jeffrey liked my homegirl Tasha.
Yeah.
I go, "Tasha, you gotta take one for the team."
Okay.
I go, "Tell Jeffrey to give me Kern's number, and I'll give him Tasha's house number.
Wow.
Not even a pager number. I'll give him Tasha's house number." So Jeffrey gave me your number.
Oh
And
my
I gave
God.
him Tasha's house number. And then with your number, I had a pager back then.
Yeah.
And I called and left a message, but I left my pager number. And then you called me back saying your name was Tristan.
Uh-huh.
I was like, "I don't know no Tristan. Who the hell is Tristan?" You called me and told me your name was Tristan. I'm like, "I don't know no Tristan." I'm like, and then you called back again saying, "Hey, yeah, somebody just called here." I'm like, "I didn't call for a Tristan." I'm like, "Hey, where do you go to school?" You're like, "Oh, I go to Carr." I go, "What number do you wear?" You're like, 33. I'm like, "Doesn't Kern wear 33? And you're like,
got away with it
you're
back
like,
then.
"Yeah." I'm like, "Are you Kern?" You're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Okay, do you remember the girl from the tournament that said I'll get your number somehow?" You're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Yeah, that's me." That's how we actually met.
Okay.
That's how we actually. I was very aggressive back then.
Clearly.
I was very. Yeah, I didn't care.
I like that though. That's funny.
But Jeffrey sold you out still for a number.
Oh, I haven't seen him in a long time, but
Yeah, Jeffrey sold you out for a number. He did. He sold you out for a phone number.
Good
so
for him though. He made a friendship. So
He
hey.
did make a friendship. So that's how we met.
Mm-hmm.
And I still think that was like our most funniest moment.
That has to be. How
It
could it be
has to be
funnier than
because
that?
I remember going out to a friend's birthday party and I didn't know she dated Krystle.
Uh-huh.
So I go to this dinner and there's Krystle. And Krystle's like, "Oh, there's the point guard." I was like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "How did you not see his baby mother behind you?" I was just like, "I wasn't looking for her. I didn't care." He's like, "Horrible court vision, Krystle. Horrible court vision." Like, it was bad. Like back then, I really didn't care. I didn't care if you were in a relationship. I was just like, I didn't care. But that was that age where you knew guys liked you, and then I knew ball. So then I would tease Krum like, "God, your left hand's weak.
Yes.
Your release is slow."
That is the part that I remember.
I would literally watch his game like, "Guy, this is not it."
I remember those. That's
Yeah.
what I remember though. That the like being hard on me and talking shit. That's what I
always.
remember.
See, you
that's
do
a dope
remember
story.
some stuff.
I do. That's a dope story, though.
Yeah, that is. Like, when I tell people, like, that's how you met Kern. And he's like, you guys are still friends? I'm like, yeah. I repost his stuff and, like, I read his stuff. It's, like, it's good. And I left my book today. I'm really mad. I left my book for you to sign it. So you're going to have to sign my book.
I got you.
So those are my funny moments since you don't remember anything.
Tell me your favorite slow jams.
Favorite for sure has to be Alicia Keys' "Like You'll Never See Me Again."
Ooh.
You know why? It's the first. I have a memory with that song. So
I want to hear this memory.
I was in university.
Yep. Stateside. Yep.
In New York, and it's break time.
Yes.
So during the break, everybody gets to go home except the basketball team.
Because you have to practice?
Yeah, we got to practice, play, and everything. So it was probably like a Thanksgiving break or something like that, right? It wasn't that long, right?
Mm-hmm.
So where everyone's gone.
Yeah.
My friend lends me his car, and he says, you know what? You could use my car while I'm on a break to just move around. You know, it's the smallest, but just to move around. So I took his car and went to Rochester.
Jesus.
Like a drive.
That's a drive. That's the other end.
I went to Rochester, but on the way to Rochester, I was playing the Alicia Keys album, and that song came on. And the reason I remember that song, it's my favorite. It's the first time a song made me feel like crying, like in the car driving. I have no idea why. So that's why, like, I'll Never See You Again is my favorite love song. But I have more. Hold on.
All right.
My second favorite love song is another Alicia Keys song. Alicia Keys is
yeah, it's your favorite artist.
So, she has a song called, I think it's called "Tell You Something" or "Tell Me Something," and it's off the same album, As I Am album. That's my favorite Alicia Keys album. And I was in my room, dorm room again, same university, same thing, and I was with this girl, but we're just cool, we're just hanging out, and we're running through Alicia Keys' album. That song comes on, and she starts crying, and she leaves the dorm and comes back, and she's like, "All right, sorry, that song just got me," and the song's still on, and she's crying again. I'm like, okay, we got to turn this off, But then I listened to it, and I was like, the words, and I understand why she was connecting with the words, and then that's probably my favorite, like, overall Alicia Keys song is "Tell You Something." So I love those songs. And then one more. I have to say one more, because I can't just go Alicia Keys.
You can give me top 5. You can give 5.
The next has to be X Factor, Miss Education.
Yes.
Because it's
he knew. He knew.
It's the first album I ever bought.
Okay.
And I bought it for myself, and I bought one for my mom. So this is like, I was in high school, so that's why I loved it. And I just think that album it's still to me
it's still my favorite album.
Doesn't matter what comes out.
I don't care. It's still my favorite album.
Still. And then I'll give one newbie because I love her. Her.
Yes.
Maybe, I don't even know what song to choose. Focus I was listening to last night, Rockin' a Heart. Like anyone from I Used to Know Her.
Yes.
I love that album, so she's dope. I think she even structured her album after Lauryn Hill's.
Yes.
After Miss Education. She literally just took the whole structure.
Thing. And it feels like a Lauryn album.
Yeah, exactly. So I love it. She's good. She doesn't miss that often, so I like it.
It's time to get deep. Let's get real deep. What's your breaking point?
Whew. My most vulnerable state. It's probably a couple stories I could tell. I'll tell life and career. So life first is definitely getting full custody of my daughter, because it was just, imagine starting a custody battle and just being a man and just not knowing if you're going to win, because the chances are, the lawyer even told, the first time I went in to actually file for custody, the lawyer told me no and we wouldn't do it, and I left. He's like, how old? He's like, how much money do you make? Blah blah. He's like, do you make over 40,000? I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, you're gonna have to pay. You're not gonna get no aid. It's gonna cost at least this much. She's like, how old's your daughter? I was like, I think she was 13 at that time. He's like, oh, she's gonna, in 3 years she could decide who she wants to live with. Just write it out. It's 95% chance you're gonna lose. So I was like, all right. So I left, but then it was just too bad. Like the friction was too much between myself and my baby mother. So I was like, nah, I can't do this. So I went back, filed, and then months were just going by, and I was just like, yo, like, like that. I actually went back and lived with my mom because I was like, I don't know where I was gonna, like, wherever me and my daughter's name is Christasia, so wherever she was gonna go, I was gonna just end up moving closer to there, right? So I moved back with my mom until I figured out custody. So that, just waiting for that was just like the worst period. And then when, then I guess when we finally got to the custody situation and I got custody, it was probably one of the best times of my life, like the best moment of my life. You know what I'm saying?
I know you wrote that in your article.
I did.
And see, I thought I knew you, but I didn't know you until I read those articles.
Yeah.
Like every Sunday you had me in tears.
Yeah.
And I would send you messages like, oh my God, it's so sad. Like, I knew you're probably sick of me, but I'm just like, I didn't know that half of you.
Yeah.
And it was so good to read because, no one really ever talks about a father's side.
Yeah, exactly.
No one ever talks about if our dads are not there. No one ever talks about what it is to fight for custody. Because as you said, they always say 95% of the time, you're going to lose.
You're going to lose.
You're going to lose. Just pay what you have to pay and go about your life.
Yeah.
But then you actually fought for your daughter.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we wanted to, though. I made a promise to her when she was 10 years old. And I told her, by the time you're in high school, we're going to be living together. Because that's what she wanted. She would cry every time she went back to her mom's house, you know? So I told her, I'm like, don't worry, by the time you're in high school, we'll be living together. I didn't know that. I totally made it up to make her feel better at the moment. But it's funny how, like, life works and the universe works, because she was 13 when I got full custody. 14, we're living together. So right before she started high school, we're living together, you know? So
how were those days, that transition days, that now you're not a weekend dad, you're a full-time dad now?
Yeah. Well, I wasn't never a weekend dad.
Well,
so
sorry. No.
Yeah.
Sorry. I don't mean to say as weekend dad, as in, like, you never had full custody. Like, you had her when you wanted her.
Exactly.
But, like, how does that transition to now, like, she's in your sight now all the time?
It was, at first it was kind of heavy, because I was like, okay, now it's just us. There's no more excuses. Like, we just have to rough this out. We got to figure it out. And then I made stupid mistakes. So the first apartment I got, because I got full custody. By the time I got full custody, it was August. Yeah. You know, like end of July, August. So I had to figure out a place for us to stay, figure out what school she had to go to, and I was like rushing, right? So I got this shitty apartment that was terrible, and she hated it, and she would run to my mom's house every weekend because she hated it so much. So I was like, ugh. And then I sent her to a school that was an academic school, but it was it was all white people.
Oh, so she
never
got to...
So it's the first time in her life, remember we grew up in North York?
Yes.
The first time in her life she went to a school with just all white people.
Nobody else.
Yeah.
No Asian, no other blacks, nobody.
She said there's been the diverse population probably like 5%.
Jeez.
You know, so she had no friends for the first year of school, of high school. And, you know, like, and we moved downtown also, so she wasn't close to any of her friends. So she didn't go to a school where her friends would be at and they could kind of link up. So she had to learn, jumped into high school, which was new area, which was downtown, and no friends, and all white people.
Yeah.
So it was a lot. So then I moved by that December, so she started school in September. That December, I moved out of that spot. I was like, forget it. Found a new place. We moved in February. I transferred her schools the next year, and then things really started working out, and it's been great since then. Well, you know, it's great since custody, but I mean, like, really great as far as, like, her life.
Yeah. So now she has built her own little community now.
Exactly, and her friends and all that. So it's it took a minute, but yeah, we got there.
I know you're about to finish another say. You said you had another moment other than your daughter.
Yes. Okay. Career moments. Good call. I forgot about that. So I would say probably with my career, the thing with writing is that it's hard. It's like an art.
Yes.
You know, so it's hard to, like, make money only off your art. That's probably one of the hardest things to do. So when I first started out, my only goal was to be a full-time writer.
Yes. That
was my goal from the jump. But it didn't work like that at the beginning. You just had to build yourself up. So I would be taking, like, odd jobs. Like, I would clean cars at a rental company. At Enterprise, I just clean the cars. I work at a bingo hall. I work at the Hoop Dome, which was like that ball court.
Yeah, the ball court.
Yeah,
yes.
I work there. And this is me. This is like fresh off a university graduate.
Yes.
You know, got a degree from a private school in the States. Like, I was turning down good jobs because I was like, I don't want to have to work a job.
A career.
But not only that, like, I didn't want to like deviate my energy to that job. I wanted bullshit jobs so that I could put all the rest of my energy into writing and building my writing career.
Yes.
And then it just got to a point, because now remember though, because I told you the kind of jobs I'm taking. I was working
Yes.
at a shoe company and stuff like that. Now it's like I can't buy my daughter gifts for her birthday. Like all I could do is pay rent. I was living in an apartment, so all I could do was pay rent and give her food, like basically, right? Food
Yeah.
and clothing. Like I couldn't do anything more than that. So it felt like part of it felt a little selfish from my perspective. You know, I was like, yo, am I being selfish because I'm chasing my passion? But I had my daughter when I was 18, you remember?
Yes.
So I wasn't, it's not like I was a person yet.
Yeah.
I didn't even know what I wanted to do yet,
yeah.
you know? So
You're still a baby yourself.
I was still a baby myself. So I'm
Yes.
like, no, like, let me go after this. Like, so I had years where I literally had to like ask my mom for money to buy her birthday gift, ask my mom for money to buy her Christmas gift, shit like that. And that was like, it was like embarrassing. Like guys, like I think a man's worst flaw is probably their ego. So like my ego is taking a hit. But something told me like, Kern, just keep going. And
Yes.
then I got to a point where my mom's looked at me, because my mom's my biggest supporter, but she looked at me and she's like, yo,
What are you really doing?
what are you really doing now?
Yes.
You know? So she's like, at least go to teacher's college, you know?
Yeah.
So she actually paid for me to go to take the exam and all that stuff to go to teacher's college, and I did, got in, and on the day I was supposed to go to teacher's college at York, I didn't go. I just woke up and I was like, I'm not going. You know, my mom was so pissed.
A true West Indian mother? Yeah, she didn't
Yeah,
throw something at you?
Shady mom?
Yeah, she didn't throw something at
so
you?
pissed. No, she didn't throw anything, but she was pissed. So I was like, no, I feel like I'm really close, you know, like I just feel like I'm close. And then I think like probably a month after that, I got my first big contract. Like it was a ghostwriting contract, right? Someone's book.
Yes.
And back then, like it was $6,000, which was back then was a lot.
Lots.
I would never charge that now. It'd be like
Yeah.
triple that. But I'm saying back
I remember
then.
you doing that in a tweet. Never. I remember you put that in a tweet saying you did that, but you'll never do that again.
Never. You're not getting $6,000 to write a full book. Never. But I got my first big contract, and I was like, that was it. That just proved to me that I made the right decision.
Choice.
And then after that was 2012 or something. And then by 2013, by 2014, I had absolutely no other side job. 2013, I still had one other side job. 2014, I was just writing full time. So it was on after that.
It's that time for Dirty Laundry, my favorite segment. Let's hear what my guests have to say by airing out their dirty laundry.
You know what happened?
What happened?
Kershaw, my damn brother.
It's always Kershaw guy.
This kid. So now, okay, I wasn't the greatest back then either. So when me and my babe mother were just breaking up, but we hadn't like fully broken up yet. You know how it takes like months to break up. So we
Yes.
said we were breaking up, but we didn't fully break up yet. Kershaw wanted me to come pick him up at a party, but I had already had this new chick that I was with, you know, and she was with me. So I was like, but Kershaw, I dropped and picked up Kershaw at all
the
parties.
time.
So it was nothing. I'm like, all right, I'll come pick you up. I go to pick Kershaw up. My babe mother is at the party Kershaw's at. So the first person I see, remember the girl's in the front seat with me. The first person I see walking out, looking in the car like this, is my babe mother. I said, why this child? So she jumps in the car. She jumps in the back seat of the car.
The doors are locked?
What am I going to do? Leave her out? So I said she hops in the back seat of the car. Kershaw's in the back seat too.
Didn't she not go there with friends?
No. Hold on. No. Something happened because Kershaw's in the backseat with the girl that I was with.
Yes.
So I don't know how exactly that happened.
You probably saw her like, hey, go to the back.
Something happened like that. So she's in the backseat. Kershaw's in the backseat. My baby mother's in the front seat, and I'm driving. So now I'm driving to go drive my baby mother home because it was close to her where she was staying. So I'm gonna drive her home, and she's just like going crazy. And then she turns around and just tries to fight the girl in the back seat. So Krystle grabs the girl, takes off. They jump out of the car, start running. My baby mother jumps out. She runs into her house, and then like I go pick up Krystle and the girl. I'm like, Krystle, you couldn't like. Terrible. He always got me in sticky situations.
Yeah.
It's time to be inspired. So let's ask my guests. What's going on with them? In business, life, new adventures.
the complete truth is actually took years, like because I went to write when I wanted to write my first book back in 2007. That's when I first started writing my first book. I actually wanted it to be real.
Yeah.
I wanted it to be about me and what I was going through, and I couldn't do it. It was too honest. I wasn't ready to be that honest. And then I was like, okay, that's too hard. Let me just get into the writing thing. And I said I wrote my 2 books. They were both fiction. But then I would say the beginning of last year, so the beginning of 2020, I'm like, okay, I feel like I've done enough. Like it's my history and everything that I've done is far enough. Like things that I'm proud of and not proud of. Definitely the not proud of parts. It's. I think I've made peace with that within myself. So then I tried to start writing it, and when I started writing it, it felt like people say writing is therapy. It didn't feel like therapy. It felt like taking a shit. Like it was just
hard.
It was hard.
You can feel I felt your pain right in it.
Yeah.
Like I knew when it got to a certain point, he had to take a break and come back to this.
But
like you can feel
true.
the change in the writing. Like you can feel like this was a heavy part, and then you had to all right, I'm done for today. I'll come back to it next week.
That is so true because it takes a lot out of you, and you can't. I literally what you said is true because I had to stop in between to be like, all right, that's a lot for today. That's because it's emotional. You're going through these things. The pieces were called My Failures as a Father. I was talking about the worst
parts of being a father.
You know what I'm saying? And another reason I thought that it was important that I write that specifically because people look at me as a great father, which I know that I am. But to be this great father, there was a lot of shit that I had to deal with and go through and fail at. So writing it for me was just like an acknowledgement to all fathers that like it's a journey, and it's not like you're looking at someone who people be like, oh, Kurt, you're the best father ever.
Yeah.
But here's the real of it, So it was really difficult. And then the other difficult part was that because I was telling my story of my failures, it involved other people.
Yes.
So it involved my baby mother. It involved my mom. It involved my dad.
Yeah.
So like episode 3, I call it episodes. Episode 3 was about my mom. So I had to call her and be like, hey,
this is what's going to happen.
Because let me tell you something, Krystle. I was going to put these things out once a month. I came onto the platform I use to send the newsletter I was called Substack, and I joined Substack like months before I even started putting out these newsletters. And I was trying to figure out a way to use Substack because it's fairly new. And I was like, all right, after months of kind of studying how to use it, I was like, all right, this is how I'm going to use it to be different. And I was like, you know what? I'll just put this story out once a month, see how people feel. And really, my goal was to get another book deal. I already have one book deal. I'm like, I want to get another book deal with these stories.
Yeah.
After I put out the first one, it felt like it went viral. It didn't go viral. It didn't get millions of views, but the reaction from people, it was.
I'm telling you, I read that first one. I was just like, oh my god! I sat there. I'm like, I don't know what to say right now. But I'm just like, hey, I'm so proud of you. Thank you for sharing. I know he's like, why is Krystle messaging me? Because when I got the alert, I just read it right away, and I didn't know how to I just hold my kids a little tighter and tell my husband, hey, you're doing a good job.
Yeah.
I had to reassure him that, hey, you're doing a really good job. Not that he doesn't need to hear that or he's not doing that. That's what your article, that's what it did to me.
And a lot of people reached out to a lot of emails and text messages. And so when I saw people actually going the extra step to message me because that's what it was making them feel like, I was like, no, okay, I'm not going to do it every month. I'm going to do it every Sunday.
Yes.
And then I put out the 4 episodes every Sunday and then asked me about what's coming up next. Because that was so successful, and I saw real stories, honest stories,
real stories,
not fake authenticity.
I can tell you the part I cried the most is when you finally saved up enough money to buy your daughter a bike. Oh my god! So if you guys haven't read these articles, I'm gonna leave the link right here. I'm even crying now. I'm crying now because I felt your pain. Here you are, your daughter just wants a bike. It's not the best bike, but that's what she wants. Her favorite color, it's going to be. And then for you to present it, and the mother of your child just bring this, go take this back. What? She doesn't even you already saw her joy riding it down the hallway. And it's why wasn't it good enough? If it's good enough for her, why can't it be good enough for you?
Yeah.
That just I was so mad, guys. I was so mad. I threw my phone. I'm I'm not even going back to read this because I had whole ugly cry going on because it hurt.
Yeah, it hurt me too. It hurt me.
It
was bad. And also it made me it made me want to do like crazy things, you know, because I was
Yes.
like, okay, this is, I must not be enough then, you know. And back then, I used to associate my worth with money. Like
Yes.
it was hard not to do that because that's. I mean, we come from that culture.
Yes.
My baby mother's telling me that, like, oh, you need to send this money, this money. It doesn't matter how much time I spent with my daughter. We
Yeah.
never to my baby mother's credit. She was never one of those parents or those mothers where that's like, oh, you can't see your child. She's never ever once told me that. We never had a problem of like, oh, you don't see her enough. That was not our thing. We had way more problems for sure, but that wasn't one of them. So to know that, or to have the feeling that, okay, I'm seeing my child, we're great, we have a great connection, and I could take care of her. Like, not like I couldn't take care of her, but the still knowing that and knowing that money was that important and I didn't have it, it made me feel like a failure.
Of course.
And it made me say like, okay, so I must need to go do some crazy shit to get more money.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And step out of my character. And that was like, you talked about one of the most vulnerable parts of my life. That was one of the most scary parts of my life because my mind was going places that I was like, oh my gosh, like, Kern,
do
you would
really
do
that?
this?
Yeah, like,
would
that's
you
not
do
you.
that? Like, that is not me at all. So that was a rough moment, man. That was, a lot of people like said that to that.
Yeah, that was.
Could have. John messaged me, my friend. You know, John.
Yeah.
Obviously, GH is like, yo, your baby mother was wild.
Yeah.
Like, she was wrong for that one, you know. But I mean, it's tough. Like, it's tough on being. She was 17 when we had our kid. Like, it was. I'm not even. Again, the story wasn't about her.
No, it wasn't.
The story was about my failure. She was part of these stories. Because she was part of my life. She was part of my daughter's life and a huge part of my daughter's life.
She's the reason why you're a father.
Exactly. So it's just, so I had to throw that in, and actually became a problem because then she kind of.
I know you switched her name because I'm like, I know that wasn't her name.
Yeah, I switched
But I'm
her
like,
name.
oh, he did that for purposes because it's gonna be like, oh, why are you using my name?
Exactly.
And then so it'd be back in
and
the
it
court.
still got into that, to be honest. She still got into that on Instagram, and it was a whole shit show after that. Like, called my mom, and she really did not like the stories. She did not like the way she was presented in the stories. But
that's your truth. I think also a real sad part is when you were going away to school. And you're at the bus terminal and you had to say goodbye to this brand new family that you just did, and then the tears on the bus. I'm like, oh my god, this Kern's crying, I'm crying. I'm like, it was so. Once again, thank you for being vulnerable. And for most writers, like, I'm not a writer, but I love reading and I love to find different works. That was the most honest and real thing I've read in a while. That's why I was excited to get that notification. Like, I had you on notifications. Like, as soon as it came, I'm there. I'm reading it. I'm retweeting it.
You did. Thank you for that.
I'm posting it on Instagram. Hey, go check on the link on his bio. Go read this. I know I sent him everything. I'm like, hey, he's not a father, but go read these. Because we're kind of like the same when we hear things. But like, yeah, like, I can't wait. Like, that needs to be a whole book.
Oh, More's coming for that one. More's coming for that one.
Are you adding other dads into it?
There's other dads coming, but we have other stories. So we started, the name of that newsletter is called Love and Literature. Yes. So we have two other stories. We have another story that we're telling on Love and Literature right now called The Making of Alexis Valdez, which is like it's a mother's perspective of a story.
Ooh.
So that one, we already had 2 episodes released. This third one's coming out tomorrow. After that, we have another story coming out. So we've already collected stories for the rest of the year, and we're going to keep going in the same vein as
every Sunday.
Every Sunday morning you're going to get it. It's just like my failures as a father, as far as the honesty, because I'm looking for the stories now. So I know the level of vulnerability I'm looking for.
Yes.
And we're making it happen, and it's been great. The response to the Making of Alexis Valdez has been just as crazy as my failures as a father. It's been incredible because we're putting some real
bodies of work together.
Crazy bodies of work together, crazy marketing together. We're getting it out in front of a lot of people.
Yes.
And the views are incredible, but the responses have been really incredible. The comments and the fact that people are reading it and subscribing. To me, that's the biggest thing. When they read a story and they're like, oh my gosh, I love this story so much, I want to hear more. So our subscribers have gone crazy. Like, my failures of my father like took that.
Yes.
You know? But since then it's been really steady, and so that for the rest of the year, that's really what we're focused on, just telling stories. And we're telling them in episodes too, like chapters. So it's not just one story a Sunday. You're gonna get one full story a month in episodes, you know? Like,
nice.
Because we wanted to feel like like you felt. Like we wanted you to feel like that suspense, like you're watching your favorite TV show.
Yes.
And a lot of the, like your response and the way you kind of woke up Sunday morning and you're reading it through your phone, that's how people are reading it. So we love sending it out Sunday mornings because we want people to do that the first time
First
they wake
thing,
up.
yeah.
This segment is called Book Me, where I actually get to ask my guests about what book had deeply impacted them and why.
And you can be self-plug in your own book.
No, I won't self-plug my own book. I won't do that. My favorite book, I'll give two. My favorite book is Beloved by Toni Morrison, because it made me, like, it was a prompt for me to start writing my first book.
Okay.
Because it was so, I was like, how do you write like that? How is it possible for someone to write so well? So that gave me the prompt to write that. So Toni Morrison, Beloved for sure. But then there's this book called Do Not Say We Have Nothing by an author named, not Matthew, Madeline Tien is her name. Madeline Tien, an Asian Canadian author. And the book was so moving. I got it tattooed on my body again. But this was recently I read it, but it moved me because the story was incredible. She was able to tell the story going back to early parts of the century up till now, and took it from China to Vancouver and back. Like she really told an amazing story. But the way she wrote it, like I'm a writing nerd, so the way people write,
yes,
it sticks with me, you know. So it touched me, and there's a part in it specifically where she's reflecting back on, and I might have even got this part wrong or interpreted it wrong, but the way I interpreted it was, she was reflecting back on, in the book they're reflecting back on like Chinese slaves, and the Chinese slaves are chanting, and a part of the chanting they're saying, "Do not say we have nothing," you know. These are slaves saying that, and I was like I had to put the book down at that point, you know, because it really hit me that line and the way she set it up and how poetic it was and musical it was, and how even though they're slaves, they still didn't feel like they had nothing. They had value. There was value to their lives. So it struck me, and I love that book. I have it in my house right now. So yeah, I'll say those two for sure. There's millions I could say, but those two.
Those two for sure. Your top two.
So this is our last segment. It's called The Quote. I ask my guests to tell me what quotes they use on a daily basis or the ones they live by. For me, short and simple, mine is, life is what you make it. Because it is. Let's hear what my guests have to say.
I don't know if this memory is real or fake, because sometimes I mix things up. But
that's the writer in you?
Yeah, that's the writer in me. It is. It's true. So I have like these, what I think are fake memories. But I remember sitting outside, like in a car one time, and I was going through something. And I don't talk to people when I go through something, ever. Like, zero. But for some reason, this is why I think it's a fake memory. I called my older brother, you know? And I called my older brother and I was telling him what I was going through. And he's talking me through it. Then he's like, you know what, Kern, like, it'll pass. And I'm like, what do you mean it'll pass? That's not advice, you know? He's like, and this too shall pass. You know, he's like, he told me that. And for some reason that really stuck with me, like, because what it did for me is just like it leveled me out. You know, it made me see that even the worst moments, they're gonna pass, but also too the best moments are gonna pass. So what that really made me do is like be present for all of it.
All of it.
You know, like, so I'm always in the moment, or always trying to be in the moment and like experiencing something fully. Like sometimes I'll just look at my daughter and she's just like sitting and eating, and I just like love that moment, and I feel like all this burst of love inside of me, and I'm just like, I love this kid so much, and she's not doing shit. She's just sitting down eating, you know.
She's probably looking at you like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, exactly. She's like, she says that, she's like, why are you looking at me, daddy? You know. But and then with all that happened early on, like when I was pretty young. So like when I was going through this stuff with my baby mother, when I was going through stuff with my career, like in my mind, I always knew that I was going to get to where I was going to go, because the moments that I was going through were always going to pass. You know, so actually I have that tattooed on my body, on my arm. It says, "And this too shall pass," because that for me is like the one.
I don't believe it was fiction then, if you got it tattooed.
Did
you confirm the story with your older brother?
I don't want to ask him.
Why?
Because if it's not real, it would suck.
you still need to confirm.
I would suck. I'll show him this podcast and ask him.
Okay.
I'll show it to him and be like, yo, is this true or not? Did this really happen? But I don't know. It just doesn't sound like me. Like the first part of me calling somebody, especially my older brother, be like, yo, I'm going through this. Like, I don't know if especially back then, I don't know if I would have done that. But I swear on everything. I know where I was sitting. I know I was right around Jane and Finch. I know outside. I know the car. It's weird. It's a weird.
But you don't remember picking up the phone.
I don't remember I just don't remember it happening like that. Like I just feel like I made it up, which is totally possible.
Well, that's okay though, because that's what is getting you through everything.
It is.
So even though that creative fiction part turned on, it still got you through what you needed to get through.
Hell yeah!
Like it didn't stop you. Krystle Breaks easy means what to you? Finish it. Finish the sentence. Like, how was your time here today?
Comfortable. I felt really comfortable. And no, I think that's it. I felt really comfortable. You know, like another story.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I know we're done.
It's okay. Stories are always good. No, we have time. We're good. I made sure to put you in a 2-hour block.
Good stuff. On last week Sunday, I was hosting this reading.
Yes.
And like they let me curate it. They let me choose all the writers, and I chose like Black and brown writers and queer writers, and I put them all in the same space. And they had the most incredible time. And then afterwards, we just we had like a little gathering with just the writers and like not the audience. Mm-hmm. And they were so grateful because they're like, that space that we created felt so welcoming and safe for them to share. Like they're sharing some real stuff about themselves. Mm-hmm. So like, and they said that was super unique, and they're crying about it. I was like, I just thought it was a cool idea. For them, it was like something way more.
Because they don't get that opportunity.
They don't get that opportunity. So when I say like I feel comfortable here, that's what I mean. Like I feel like however you are, you know what I'm saying? It makes me feel comfortable to like speak and share like a story, like the story I told about like my baby mother fighting that girl. I've never told that story publicly ever.
I bring out the worst.
Not even privately though. I don't even tell people that story, you know. But then like hearing you talk about your situation with your family and stuff like that, and allowing me to share those stories. So like I feel like I just felt really comfortable, you know, being able to do this. So this is and fun, obviously. So
thank you. See, I'm doing a good job. I'm having some fun.
So that is a wrap, folks. You just listened to Krystle Breaks Easy. I am your host, Krystle. To find me on Instagram, you're going to look for Krystle Breaks Easy _, which is the podcast page. Also, my personal page on all platforms is Chris My Life. So until next time, stay safe.